Hello, everyone, and welcome to my new podcast. Today's guest needs absolutely no introduction at all, but I'm going to give her one anyway. She is the first two-time winner of Survivor. The queen stays the queen, and she's got her crown, the one and only Sandra Diaz-Twine.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for allowing me to be your number one. I'll never forget it.
Yes, I have to. From Pearl Islands to heroes versus villains to redefining social strategy in reality television, Sandra built a blueprint. And today we are going to be diving into the Traitors. Specifically, we're going to be getting into the most recent episode, episode 9. But I'm also going to sprinkle in episode 8 because that is where all of the action happened. We saw the rivalry between Candace and Rob. Candace got, unfortunately, spoiler alert, she got banished, which we are so sad to see her go, but we are going to be getting into all of the juicy things. And Sandra,
If they don't know by now that Candace is gone, that's on them because it's been a whole week.
It has been. And you know everything about strategy. I mean, your game has never necessarily been flashy. You rely on reading people and letting others implode. Did you always know that social strategy would outlast physical dominance?
Well, people want to always, like Boston Rob told me, people want to give the $1 million to someone they like. So in any game you go to, you need to build alliances. There needs to be some sort of trust in a lot of times a trustless game, but no one's going to give money or a prize to someone they can't stand. It just does not happen. So strategy, when it comes to relationships and getting to know people, I think social strategy has to be number one. I mean, even if you win things along the way, what happens when you don't win?
Right?
But
Absolutely.
when people like you, they're fine. They're happy. It's okay.
Yes, exactly. I feel like that happened to me in my game. A lot of people were like, she didn't win the competitions. One, I won the ones I needed to win. But two, you do to an extent. These are social games. I mean, you are widely regarded as one of the greatest reality strategists ever. You are legend status in competition TV circles, but you also competed in the Traitors season 2 as a faithful, and you made it deep into the castle before being banished. So to my viewers who are just now new to Traitors, she is not new to this. She is true to this. So let's start with that. What did Traitors teach you about deception, loyalty, and psychology that Survivor necessarily didn't? Because the game mechanics are different, but the core human strategy does overlap.
So they're totally different. On Survivor, you pretty much depend on yourself to make it one more day. Where on Traitors, you're trying to find the traitor while still surviving the game. In a game where so many faithfuls fall before you even catch a traitor, you gotta hope you're not the traitor that's going to be banished or murdered. You want to make it deep in the game. And I remember reading a lot of what the fans say, like, oh, they're supposed to be finding a traitor. Yeah, duh, we know that, but we also want to make it to episode 11.
Right. Absolutely.
The faithfuls do have to fall. Just that I don't want it to be me, which was my strategy on Survivor. As long as it's not me, not give a damn who went home.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I feel like the people want to know, is loyalty ever real in these games? And is it better to lead from the front or control from behind?
It all depends on the situation. Sometimes you have to control from behind, but also, oh my God, it's hard to say. It's so many moving pieces. It's who's there, who do you trust, what's happening at that specific time, who has the shield, who just recently got murdered and why, or who got banished and why. So there's so many reasons why certain things happen, and you just have to try to figure out what's the best situation for me. Do I hang back? Do I stay in the front? Do I, like my pool table, my pool table scenario that I played out for everyone, it was only because of the situation that we were put into that even happened. Had I not been put in that situation, maybe I wouldn't have set up this whole pool table and let everyone know, look, this is what the numbers look like. This is how we can survive, because at that point it was self-preservation. But all the games are different, and it just depends on the situation. Not everything is always going to be A, B, C, and D.
Right, absolutely not. And I think a lot of the game is adaptation to the game. And in Traitors, you actually didn't get picked as a traitor. You were a faithful. But I feel like you adapted your strategy in a way that made you extremely hard to murder and allowed you to survive, honestly, longer than most people probably thought was possible because
I had a traitor angel. Phaedra was my traitor angel, which term the producers don't want you to use, but the minute I got in good with Phaedra, I was solid. Like,
yeah.
and even when I didn't get picked to be the traitor, I was so sad and disappointed because I just knew that because I was the 2-time winner of Survivor, that I could be the only option for a traitor as far as Survivor was concerned. So the minute I didn't get picked, I was like, no, there's no way they picked Parvati. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't. It was Dan and Phaedra that picked her. Alan didn't pick her. But still, she ended up in the turret, which is something I wanted to do. But once you're not able to play how you wanted to, then you do have to adapt. And you have to be a great faithful because you don't want anyone looking at you.
Yep, absolutely. And I feel like you definitely shifted from the hump the traitors to more social proximity strategy, as you said with Phaedra. She's your, what did you call her? Traitor angel?
Yeah, it's called Traitor Angel.
Traitor angel.
A traitor angel is a traitor that is your friend so much that they look out for you, and they won't cross you like last season with Danielle and Brittany. Not that they were friends, because according to Brittany, they weren't like that, but just someone that's constantly protecting you no matter what you do or what you say. Like, you're good. You're going to get to the end because I got you. Yeah. Which in this season, I think for Maura, it's Rob, the traitor. He's looking out for her. The minute I saw him carrying her on his shoulder at one of the missions, I was like, he's got her back the whole way, and she's never going to see a traitor in him.
Oh, yeah. They got that Love Island connection. I feel like that's bonding them too, because if the viewers don't know, Maura's obviously from Love Island UK. She's an all-star. She's obviously also, helped with Love Island USA. So I think they have a previous relationship in some sense where they have some sort of chemistry in the sense where they trust each other. They're from the same show. I feel like people from the same shows do typically try to stick together.
Except for the survivors, for some reason, these last seasons, like, I don't know what's up with these people. Gamers, get it together. You got to stick, it's better to be in numbers.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. There's always powers in numbers. And I think both of our shows, Survivor and Big Brother, that is a similar, strategy as well, is that especially in the first half of the game, there's definitely power in numbers. And I think you also talked about studying the international versions of the traitors and realizing obviously that people who are socially close to the traitors are less likely to get killed. And I think that's honestly such a fascinating psychological adaptation to the game. And how would you say your years of social observation on Survivor really helped you read into those dynamics in ways others might miss? Obviously, you talked about, your strong relationship with Phaedra, but how did you know to stick close to her? Was it just your gut instinct? What exactly was it that made you feel, okay, this is the one. This is the one I got to stick close to?
Not even necessarily Phaedra. No.
Okay.
When I got to the castle, I just wanted to make sure, just like on Survivor, that you want to have a working relationship with everyone, especially on Survivor. Because you never know when you're going to need them or when you're going to count on them for a vote. So you want to be able to be that person that people can come to you, and I call it an open door policy. Like, if something's not going right, or if I did something to you, come and let me know. Or if somebody tells you something about me, you come and tell me, because I'm going to square it away right then and there. If it's true, we'll just deal with it, but I don't want to get credit for something I didn't say or didn't do. You know what I'm saying? Like, come and talk to me. But when it came to the castle, I felt like there's so many people here. I don't know who they are. I don't even know anything about their shows. Like, I had never watched Housewives. I mean, I've heard Housewives, really? but I've never watched nothing Housewives. Okay. And so other than the survivors coming in there, I might have recognized one or two people, but like, I didn't know who Peter was from The Bachelor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know these people, just like they don't know us.
Right. They don't know a lot of things.
I want to be able to walk in every room and at least be able to start a dialogue with you or see where your head's at or what you're thinking. And if you're a traitor, come on, you have to be able to talk to people and get information and make sure that they're not looking at you. So, but I already knew, from Survivor that don't come asking me to not vote you out this time when you haven't talked to me and I've been invisible to you for the last 2 weeks. You get what I'm saying? Like, don't come for help now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we kind of see some of that dissonance in this, actually most recent episode. People are like, where did this friendship come between Tara and Johnny? And they're like, we have been besties this whole time, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that. I mean, but now that we understand your traitor's mindset where, you weren't really just hunting info, but managing relationships across the different allegiances, building those relationships with everyone, building rapport. Let's now break down episodes 8 and 9 of the current season. So for people that, don't know, didn't watch, again, we're going to give you a little short recap, but I want to get into how Sandra really feels because, as we said, she's the legend, she's the GOAT. So, in Traitors Season 4, Episode 8, tensions obviously explode between the remaining traitors, primarily Rob Roush and Candace Dillard-Bassett, which I love her. I think she's entertaining, but we'll get into that. And Lisa Rinna, she got banished earlier in the season, and Rob and Candace were the last two traitors standing, and they both feel the pressure of being hunted, but also I feel like they're both in this power, tussle because they're both trying to control the dynamics in the house. And now I would like to know, first of all, how do you feel? Because at the end of that episode, or no, at the beginning of that episode, they had to decide whether to recruit a traitor, which could obviously strengthen their odds, but also risk exposure, or go forward with a murder. What would you have done in the decision? We obviously know they decided to kill Colton Underwood, but what would you have done if you were in the turret?
I wouldn't have recruited anyone simply because there's still two of us. And when it's down to one person, then you're forced to recruit. So that can happen. But at this point, who is she going to bring in or who is he going to bring in? Because whoever you bring in, we're not going to both agree on. And whose game are they going to benefit? Am I going to get thrown under the bus? The whole season 3 scenario again between Carolyn and Danielle, where Danielle wanted to bring in Brittany, which was only going to help Danielle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. But my whole issue with the way Rob went about it, like, I understand he voted for Lisa the first time, nothing came of it.
Right.
Then they went hard on her the second time. She finally goes home. Now they're at the turret talking. And I wish that before he was going to do that he would have given a heads up, like, listen, if I hear your name around the castle and now even more people are going to pile on the votes, there's nothing I can do.
Yep.
If I'm not going to sacrifice my game to save yours, because Monet had talked about you. Dorinda was already saying that's not how you behave. Colton was after you. Like, there's only so much saving that you can do, and you have to be careful who you save and how you save them. But in essence, for me, I think if he would have given Candace a heads up, like, Candace, I am gonna try not to vote for Lisa, but if at that round table it's obvious that she's getting most of the votes, she's getting one from me too. Heads up.
I agree. I actually tweeted this during the episode because I didn't feel that how hard he was going for Lisa was warranted. I also don't even feel like he needed to do that. I feel like, as you said, her name was already getting thrown around. And for me, I feel like this is how I thought about it in Big Brother too with the Jimmy vote was, here's the thing, if someone's going to be a target anyway, why not just let things play out how they play out? And listen, if it wasn't for Rob pushing, I don't even think Lisa would have gone home that week. She would have gone home the next. So why not take this opportunity to get somebody else out that's not even on, everybody's radar, and save the juicy person, for the next week who we know they're going to go for, because the person they're going to go after this week obviously would not have been a traitor. And so then they would have been like, ding, 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 it's for sure Lisa, let's get her out this week. Not only does that buy Rob 2 extra weeks, it also saves goodwill with Candace, okay? Yeah. Because if he could have kept that relationship going and, like you said, given her a heads up, and then like, hey, this is what's going. And also, I think if, say, Lisa didn't go home that next week, or that current banishment, and the next week she was up again, I think Candace would have been like, okay, this is not salvageable, this is not savable. But I think at that point, the vote was so close. So I think it was a little bit of a misstep, but somehow these faithful Sandra, These faithfuls this season.
Look, I know what it's like to be an awful faithful when you see it in your face, but you don't take it at face value. It's hard to know because we grasp at straws. A lot of it is hearsay, things you don't. As long as it's not you, you don't care whose name comes up. Somebody has to go. For Traitors is hard when you're out there. We're going from room to room. We're bouncing around. She said, he said, this happened. Oh my God, I'm going off of what Ashley just told me she heard or saw. Was that what she heard or saw?
Right. We've seen a lot of people taking that little when they're like, what was it? The traitors, or if we were saying they caught Portia saying that. They caught
Natalie.
Sarah, Natalie, yup. And so I think it's really interesting that little thing has been getting people the boot very, very
fast. And as a faithful, you're talking so fast that you don't even realize you said something you shouldn't have said. So when you're confronted with, you said this, you're like, when did I say that? You know what I'm saying? Because that's not what I said. But Traitors is a confusing game. And if you're not careful with your words, you could really set yourself up for failure, and you go home and you were faithful. It is what it is.
Yeah. And listen, I almost thought my girl Candace had it. Okay. Before that roundtable happened, I thought, you know what, she might make it through this week, because I thought her little subtleties of throwing Rob under the bus a little bit were good. I just think her biggest problem was the dichotomy between, on the day that she voted for him, she said it was a throwaway vote, and then the next time she said, oh, it was intentional. And then, like we just said, people are reading into every little subtle thing, everything you say, and when you have some inconsistencies, it makes you kind of a target. But how did you feel about her approach at the round table? Because I do feel like she was going after Rob hard, and I don't know what, listen, we know reality TV, we know there are edits. I don't know if the edit made it seem, because I'll tell you how I saw it. I sort of felt like, Rob may be keeping his promise that he wasn't going to go after her at the round table, because it seemed like Rob was kind of chilling back. He wasn't really throwing Candace into the line of fire until, obviously, she threw him all the way. She poured that gasoline and she was blowing things up. How did you feel about her approach? Do you think that she should have kind of taken a step back and maybe not gone for Rob at that round?
That's where she messed up. Writing down Rob's name even the first time around, even if she was upset with him and was going to do something behind his back, writing his name the first time, really, that's where her game just fell to pieces.
Yeah.
Because then she did it again, but also he said, I have to be strong. I know the fireworks are coming. I have to just act like she's coming after me for absolute no reason, because if he would have went toe to toe with her every time she says something, he bounced back, they would have said, traitor on traitor. Just like Bob the drag queen versus Boston Rob. Yep. So he knew, like, no matter what she throws at me, I'm just gonna stay calm, like a loyal, faithful. And he did the right thing. He knew it was coming.
Yep.
She told him, if I go down, I'm gonna speak, and probably thinking like, don't do it. But she told him, so he just said, I'm gonna brace and hope that the relationships that he has built, the people he knows already from that game, no, he's such a faithful. She's just mad because he voted out Lisa, who was a housewife, and in their eyes, she's just mad about that, and she's trying to still stay housewife strong. That's all that was.
Yep. I feel like she should have planted more. If she was going to go Rob and she was going to full throttle send it, I feel like she should have planted a few more seeds. I feel like she was almost a little too settled. To me, if you already know your game is falling apart, you better throw everything out there, throw every dart, before you even get to that round table, because I think the pressure comes and everybody's coming for one, and you kind of forget, your strongest arguments.
He had way too much support. If you look at all those people in the room and say, who has his ear all the time? I constantly catch him with Mark. I constantly see him with Eric. He's always with Maura. From time to time, he's hanging out with Dorinda. Like, he had too many people that had his back.
Yep. He's completely covered. I almost feel like she should have tried to go for someone else. Like, I feel like
if she would have changed her vote, she would have been fine. All she had to do was go with whoever everyone else was going with. Unfortunately, it was her.
Yep.
and tried to save herself by throwing a couple of votes in a different direction so that she wouldn't have so many. But by then, it was done. It was
done. It was done. It was sad to see her game go by just like that in the blink of an eye, that episode, because I felt like she was playing a pretty strong game. I felt like the last people were not suspecting her at all. She also had her little ringlet of allies. Obviously, Lisa was one and Lisa left, but she also had the support of the other housewives. She also had Johnny. Her and Johnny had a very close relationship. And by proximity, I would say she also had Tara, because Johnny has Tara's ear and Tara has Johnny's ear. So I felt like she had her little bunch, but that Rob vote just really...
If you asked her today, where was it that she screwed up? She'll tell you that that vote for Rob, it was a hinky vote. And the people were like, what the hell is this? Then,
right,
even when she tried to sell it, it didn't sound right. Like, no, you were stuck on Ron for a reason, and then you were stuck on Donna for a reason, but now you're doing the opposite of what you say is how you play the game. Like, it just messed her up. She didn't know how to take a step back, count to 20, and then regroup.
Right, absolutely. And then let's talk a little bit about, they chose to obviously banish before she left Colton. Obviously, Colton was killed because he was seen as dangerous. And listen, I think he was dangerous to an extent because of all the power that he had and influence he had in the game. Even when he was wrong, it seemed like he was still able to rally the votes and rally the troops to get what he wanted done. And then I also think his connection and his relationship with Rob was getting very, very dangerous. They were becoming such a powerful duo. But how do you weigh versus dangerous threat versus a strategic threat in a game like this? To you, which one is more dangerous?
A strategic threat is dangerous. And in Colton, you see he's also floating around the idea of there's got to be a male up there.
Yeah.
So listen, you're going to have to go home because everyone pretty much is sick and tired of you anyway. I mean, I'd rather they get rid of people that are super faithful when they do murders, because then there's chaos still in the castle.
Yeah.
But with Colton, like, his days were numbered. He overstayed his welcome. It was time for him to go. And then, Rob could come back and just act disappointed that Colton went home, That was his guy. He doesn't know why he had to do it. Blah, blah. It is what it is. But you know what? We don't even miss Colton.
I was like, okay, I thought we were going to miss Colton. See, I miss Candace the most going into moving into episode.
I miss Michael Rappaport.
Oh my gosh, me too. When he left, to me, him, Lisa Rinna, and honestly, our guy Rob has a podcast. He was finally getting into the weeds of things, and he was right about his most recent read. That was his last recent read. I was like, dang, I really wanted to see his gameplay play out because I felt like he was picking up on the subtleties, and we didn't even get to see it. And they got rid of all the gamers so fast, man. All the gamers, besides Natalie, obviously.
That's why I'm shocked that Natalie is still in there, because I would have said, wait a minute, there's always a gamer in the turret. And even if I'm wrong, we gotta figure this out. Like,
right?
So far there were 2 murders, 2 banishments, whatever it may be. She's the last one. She's gotta have something to do with this stuff,
Yes. And obviously, right before we get into episode 9, let's also discuss him picking, who he picked to be the traitor. How do you feel about that? What would you have done if you were in that situation? Would you have picked him? Obviously, I think he had some reads that weren't so great. Obviously, the singing, he said, listen, I know vocals, I know tune. That is the laugh with our girl.
And the handwriting.
He
recognized someone's handwriting. He was so wrong. But
he was so wrong.
Okay, so at first, I didn't think it was going to be Eric.
Okay.
But I can see why, because Eric totally trusts him. And Eric is one of those people that has already solidified himself as a true faithful. No one's going to ever question him.
Yep.
So I think of everyone, and I don't feel like Eric would be the kind of person to try to throw Rob under the bus, although Rob is definitely the kind of person that could do it to him, because it's already done it to Lisa. We've already done it to Candace. Yep. But I think of everyone there, Eric is probably the one that wouldn't think that that's what Rob would do to him. So I feel like Rob would still control everything because this baby traitor's gonna come in not knowing and trying to figure things out 3 more episodes. You know what I'm saying? Because they're so close. Like, I knew he was gonna accept. I knew he wasn't gonna go home because he's almost there at the finish line. Almost there. Episodes left. You got this. So now you realize, wow, I got an even better chance of getting to the end because if I'm a traitor, I only have to worry about banishments and my name ain't coming out of nobody's mouth. So I think Eric was a wise choice. I mean, I'm loving everything Rob is doing this season.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I was one of those that said on day one, oh my God, somebody from Love Island and 2 housewives in this turret. And look, I've been surprised.
I know. I really feel like they made us eat our words. Even Candace too. Candace and Rob both, I feel like, made a lot of people eat their words because obviously housewives have this connotation. They're not necessarily the best gamers because they're there to bring us.
It depends on the housewife. It depends.
Clearly, because Candace was killing it. Before that Rob blunder, she was killing it. But Rob's moves are so well thought out. They're so well delivered.
But that's like he said, they think because I'm from Alabama that I'm a dummy. So we, sometimes we shouldn't judge a book by their cover. We thought he was just this cutie and nothing else, but he's smart. He got some brains up in there.
Absolutely. And honestly, some of his game are like the way, at least perception wise, I'm so rooting for him because it reminds me of me. Like people thought I was dumb because that was the act I, instilled in my game that I'm this dumb, this loofah, wandering around the house, just chilling. But I
taking 2-hour showers.
Like there's just something so dangerous though about those people that kind of, I won't even say lay low. It's more of that strategic strategy of instilling in people that 1, you can trust them, 2, they're not a threat, strategic or competitive wise, and 3, that they're always going to be on your side. I feel like he's proven to be a very loyal ally to the allies that think he's their ally, which really he's a traitor.
Yeah, and he walks into any room and he can join any conversation and no one's changing the subject. Like, they do not fear him. They don't think he could possibly be. Kristin said it. Oh, he's such a good guy. He's this. Girl, he's a traitor. Oh, no, not him. Anyone but him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's so interesting, though, that I thought people would question him a little bit more with the Candace Hanky vote. And she did drop some subtle seeds that I thought were kind of good by her kind of.
Yeah, though, why do I have to defend why she wrote my name down? I don't know what it was that I did wrong other than vote out Lisa. Now she's mad at me. Like, why do I have to explain her vote? You know what I'm saying? I can't sit here tell you.
He's been so good at just downplaying everything, and it's impeccable. And I see some people saying, oh, he's not doing that much, he hasn't had to do that much, but that's also a strategy. Not having to do too much till you gotta do too much is a strategy in the game. He wasn't laying low. He was building relationships and building social capital in the game early on, so that way that second half of the game he can just shoot up like why they're gonna believe, which is true. They believe every single thing he says. And so I feel like to the viewers, there's some discourse on, social media that, well, he didn't talk much. He didn't do anything in the first half. He didn't that's a strategy. He was building that social capital.
When there's 23 people that we start off with, you can't give everyone 2 or 3 minutes.
Right.
You see the faithfuls for 1 or 2 minutes and the traitors take up the other half of the 45 minutes we have on TV. So you can't really see what people are doing until later on when there's less and less people there. That's just how it works. Like Big Brother, it's just too many people in the house. We don't have a 24-hour live feed to see everything doing right, but he's obviously doing something right. He's still not in the line of fire.
No, and it's crazy that his name, not even one person. Usually by now, all of the traitors have at least one person that's kind of sniffing their tail and kind of onto them. There is not one person in the house right now who is a slither of suspecting of Rob.
That we know of, because but if it doesn't have substance, they're not going to show it. But, we don't know. And even if they did, we'd never know, because that's not that I'm trying to say like somebody's definitely saying his name. It's just, it's nothing is going to come from it. So we'll never know, because I'm sure at the reunion, we'll probably hear somebody say, I was constantly saying Rob.
Yeah, absolutely.
But nobody believed me because everyone loves him. He's everyone's best friend. So we don't necessarily know if anyone has floated his name around. But as of right now, to us as viewers, we haven't seen him slip up.
Right. We haven't seen him slip up. And yeah, we do have to remind all the viewers, obviously reality TV is edited, y'all. So like Sandra said, like there may be some other, discourse going on.
Yeah, but it just,
we don't see. But from what we see, he's almost played a pretty flawless game. And I agree with what you said earlier. I think picking Eric was such a great move just because he's someone he can control. So it's basically like having an added person, but you get to puppeteer them. You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about, are they going to go against me? You don't have to worry about, are we going to have different opinions where it's going to be a detriment to my game? And then I also think Eric is someone, I don't know if Rob, thinks this, but in my head, I'm like, he's someone who can slip up. He's not that great of a liar. And so as a traitor, I'm also thinking we're almost to the end. I want someone who is maybe going to be banished, to be honest, so I don't have to share the...
And it has to be a guy, because they're already saying, wow, we've taken out 3 women. There has to be a guy. So even when he was considering who to bring in after Candace, his options were only the males.
Yep.
And he played that right. Like, if somebody gets busted, it's got to finally be that dude no one expected.
Yep. So then people think, oh, the only other traitor left is a girl, and now they're only looking at girls, and that pretty much guarantees his spot in the finale.
You know what I just thought of? Because I remember when Eric walked into breakfast, maybe right before Candace went home, and he was like, it's so hard because everyone here is like a faithful, and we love everyone. Yeah. He's the one saying this. Imagine him getting busted. Like, damn, he was right in our face saying, oh my God, we love everyone. There's no one here that could be a possible traitor, but we're all in the room. Someone's got to be a traitor.
Yes, I think it's so clever. And I think we haven't seen this level of gameplay from like a non-gamer, have we? Traitors, I'm trying to think.
I don't know, because usually we have, and the traitors that weren't gamers really didn't make it that. Yeah.
I don't think we have, so it's pretty incredible.
Rob's the only one. Yeah. I mean, Phaedra was up there for a minute and Kate took her out, but then Kate went home. It was short-lived on our season. And then before Phaedra was Dan and Parvati, but they went back to back pretty much.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, and Parvati, well, I know I want to try to keep this succinct, but I think there were interesting dynamics there as well. But now moving into episode 9, obviously we see things got taxable. We already talked about, Eric's, spoiler alert again, Eric obviously got chosen to be a traitor. And Rob, Rob still this episode, I feel like played a great game, but let's dive into a little bit more of the shortlist. So the group obviously faces a murder nomination shortlist.
No, wait. Dorinda got murdered and we didn't even miss Dorinda.
Oh my gosh, wait, I totally skipped over that. Dorinda, I'm sorry, girl. I'm so sorry.
Well, you love the housewives, right?
I love the housewives, but man, the fact I forgot about that.
Dorinda got murdered. She didn't show up to breakfast. Again, Candace must have been saving her, and the first chance Rob got, boom, she was gone. And again, that's what happened with me and Sheree, because Phaedra, the minute Phaedra got banished, the next one murdered was Sheree, and then they came after me.
Yep, fast. I think it was a good move in the sense that we all kind of, I don't want to say forgot, sorry Dorinda, but it kind of, got twisted right over. That wasn't really a huge thing. I feel like they're like, excuse me, and then the show just continued on. Exactly.
Dorinda was real quiet. I mean, I guess on her first season, she was really loud and had a huge argument and was gone right away.
Yeah.
And this time around, she already knew, hey, I need to lay low if I want to make it in, deep into the game, which she did. Yeah. But once her traitor angel was gone, like Lisa and Candace had to be protecting her. And once they were gone, it was over for her.
It was over. And you know what? I didn't feel any type of way about the move. I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel like it was a strong move or a bad move. I just feel like it was a move to kind of keep the train running.
She wasn't there anymore, and that was it.
And that was it. Nobody was gonna suspect either way because at that point she's the last housewife standing. So I felt like it was an okay move.
Yeah, no one said at breakfast, "Oh my God, Dorinda!"
No.
They just sound plain, and they were happy it wasn't them.
They were happy it wasn't them. I feel like people forget that this.
Now you can go to the music boxes.
No, literally, I'm like, wow. And I feel like, also to be honest, before Eric was chosen as the traitor, I was kind of like every move he made was wrong. And I also feel like, yes, he built relationships in the house and he had these relationships, but I don't feel like he was an overtly strong player. I feel like he kind of rode the middle where he had opinions when he wanted to have opinions and he shared them. But I also don't feel like he was a ringleader or pulling strings, nothing like a Colton or Rob or even Candace, because Candace had her little housewife.
But the difference with Eric is that when he did speak up once or twice, people were listening.
They listened.
And it was what he said. They were like, okay, we're going to go with what he said because out of respect, or somehow he solidified his position to where when I speak, what I say is
right.
The gospel.
Yeah.
And then he was shown to be wrong.
I know. And that's why I'm like, ooh, at the end, which we'll get to, but I gotta throw it in right now because my mouth is burning. At the end, Kristin.
Well, that's the thing. I made a comment like him and her must have been having a lot more conversation than we saw for all of a sudden. Like, Ashley, if me and you talk every single day, and girl, I haven't seen you for a minute all day long in this damn castle, and we're not talking like we used to talk. What the hell happened overnight? You know?
Right.
So I think he was, now that he's a traitor, he's watching his words. Now he's not speaking as freely as he was before.
Yep.
And she caught that.
She clocked
Why
it.
now does, yeah.
He clocked it. I'm like,
Cat's got your tongue. Why now?
Yes. And I think that's also going back to when Lisa Rinna was in the house or the castle. Lisa Rinna, that was one of the reasons why people started coming for her because they were like, girl, you are a talkative, chatty person. We've seen you on other shows, which also kind of sucks for her at the same time because it's like, okay, I get what she was saying. She just wants to do her. But let's be real. She was acting that way because she was a traitor and she was trying to, keep her words.
But only a couple of people knew that because had I gone there, I wouldn't have known who she was.
Right. But it spread like wildfire. It spread pretty fast, even from her own bestie, Dorinda. Dorinda even agreed with somebody.
Yep, Dorinda told Colton, and Colton told the whole damn castle.
Yep. And so I think it's that sense of what we kind of talked about in the beginning. Not only is it a relationships game, it's also a consistency game. You need to be consistent the whole way through in how you're running your strategy and keep that going the whole time. Because when you switch up, people are looking for any little thing to try to get you. Okay, they're trying to. It's either me or you, and I want it to be you because I want to be here and stay in this game and play a win. And so
exactly. Ashley, you're ready for the castle. You are ready, Drew.
I'm ready. Listen, if they give me a call, just know it's a yes.
Well, no, don't you have that 1-year contract from your last episode? Is it a year already since you won? No, it hasn't been a year. You recently won.
I know.
Girl, you ain't doing no castle this year.
I'm so sad about it. They got us locked and loaded.
Just keep doing your homework.
Exactly. I'm gonna keep watching. I'm watching Survivor, which I'm like, hopefully when the season happens, I would love to get you on again to talk Survivor because I'm gonna be tuning into this season 50, which I want to get your thoughts at the very end, just a quick rapid fire of Survivor. But yeah, I think it's really interesting watching these dynamics and mechanics play out. And I think Eric, he's in trouble. And I think, I don't even know what would be the right move for him because the thing is, if he banishes Kristin, okay, well, wait, let's go back. So the short list for everyone as a reminder is Tara, Johnny, Kristin, and Natalie. Okay. So
and the short list happened because they had a mission where they had to be in a box and 4 people at the end by the traitors, which by the way, I think the noise of them coming in and out of the boxes during that mission had to be just audio playing. It had to be fake because I didn't hear nobody saying like, I hear noise over here and I hear noise over there. None of that. So I think those boxes were quiet.
Yes.
But yeah, so 4 people got on the short list for murder, and they were correct in not putting themselves in that line of fire.
Yes, I wanted to get into that strategy. I thought, okay, well, now you told me what you think. You said it's correct, but let's just get into that. What would you have done? Would you have done that where you don't even put one single traitor in it? 2, if you were Rob specifically, would you have tried to push Eric low key to be in the what would you have done?
I wouldn't have pushed Eric because he just now became a traitor. He's looking for me for assistance. If I do the wrong move, he's going to think I'm going to do him like Lisa and Candace. And then that's not going to work. And then we're going to go against each other. And people trust what Eric has to say. You know, like my game could be destroyed.
Yeah.
But also because I've watched other franchises from around the world, I've seen where once or twice the traitors put someone in there and it just blew up in their faces because the faithfuls decided we're going to take out everyone in that group until we find a traitor. So no, you should never put yourself in the line of fire. Not after all I've seen. Do your homework.
Right. Study. Yes, I agree. I thought it was a really smart move. And when he said it, I was like, oh, Rob is cooking. Rob is cooking in that castle even more than I knew because I knew he's had strategic moves, but that was to me the smartest strategic move I've seen him say out loud, whereas viewers were able to follow exactly what his thought process was in that. And I think he's so correct in thinking that because all of the missions before where people were in a coffin, even on previous seasons, like they have the coffin and people were like, one traitor has to be in this coffin at least, like everybody knew that. And so I thought that was so smart. I think he's clearly done his homework. I think he's clearly watched other seasons of the Traitors, and I think his is just it has execution. Something about the strategy and no execution. He's got both. He's got both. He's got the trust of Eric. Eric now, after this mission, fully trusts him. Okay. He even, I think, says in a confessional, he's like, Rob is, I'm the something.
Baby traitor.
Yes, I'm the baby traitor, and Rob is basically, he's got this down. He's been doing this for weeks, and even he recognizes how smart Rob is. So now I feel like that's bought him even more trust because, okay, now, oh, we're working as a team, even though that was.
And I believe Rob when he says we can get to the end together.
Yeah.
I believe him.
I do.
I believe him because for Rob, it wasn't about the money. In that mission, we saw they were willing to Tara, and not bank anything. Where I'm more like, yo, we need to put money in this pot because I'm taking it. You know what I'm saying? So for Rob, it wasn't even about the money. It was really about staying low key, uncovered.
Yep.
He didn't want to give them anything because it's true. In this game, information is everything, and you want to give them absolutely nothing, not even by mistake.
Right, because a lot of it, this game has been a mistake. Like poor Portia, literally in the very beginning. I mean, dang, she said that one slip up, and everybody just.
And I bet you she left the show saying, "I didn't even say that until it played on TV."
Because it was so small. It was so small. It was something, obviously, we know as viewers, we're like, she's a faithful. But obviously in the house, you're going off any little thing that you can get. And it was giving suspect. She was acting a little suspicious. And I didn't feel like she fought hard enough either in the Roundtable. But that's neither here nor there. So, okay. Now, moving along. Those 4 are chosen. First, I want to get your opinions. Who would you murder out of the 4? Okay, who do you think will be the most strategic, smartest person to further your game if you were a traitor to murder? Because I feel like it's tough. I feel like the Tara-Johnny duo, I don't know if I, as a traitor, could or should murder one of them, because in my head I'm thinking, well, these are 2 people that could potentially be seen as traitors that could buy me another week. And if one is murder, it almost kind of lets the other one who's still there off the hook as not being a traitor, because they've just now in the finale, the final moments that we see on the show on this last episode, they say how they've been best friends for years. They are like this. They are Bonnie and Clyde. Okay.
They're showing us proof that they can be deceitful, and they've been lying since they entered the castle. But from all these four, we know why we're not going to murder Kristin, because then it would set up Rob. No, yeah, Eric. It would set up Eric. And then Johnny's already going to get banished on his own, I feel. So for me, it would be between Natalie and Tara. And Natalie is a workhorse. I mean, she could get us money. So it all depends on what Rob sees as, you know, you might want to split up Johnny and Tara simply because I could say, well, he did that to throw us off, or she did that to throw us off, you know?
Yeah. I think for me, I'd be between, unfortunately, love you, Natalie, if you're watching this, but Natalie, you are smart. You're a smart girl.
It might have to be Natalie, yeah.
I would have to banish Natalie, because I feel if you banish, I do agree that you could kind of, Rob could take the angle of, well, they're trying to throw us up the track. But the reason why I feel like that might not work for someone like Kristin, who's actually very smart, now she's kind of really, now that the numbers are dwindling, she's starting to get more of a feel of the castle. I feel like Natalie, although yes, she's Rob's go-to, Rob really trusts Natalie really trusts Rob. I think you've got to keep Tara and Johnny together. I think if you banish one, the other one can easily say, we just told you how we're best friends. We didn't care if one of us.
So you are saying, as of right now, that when we tune in next week, that Natalie, who was voted the most manipulative by 6 of her fellow faithfuls, is gone from the game. I like what you're saying.
I think it has to be her. I think Kristin would have been the best choice if she was not on to Eric. I think if we didn't see that whole conversation happen at the end of the show, Kristin would have, for me, number one, gotta go. Easiest to go. There's no blood on anyone's hands. Nobody's gonna suspect either Rob or Eric. Eric obviously has a very close relationship with Kristin. So it wouldn't make sense for other people to think he's a traitor. But now that we see that she's sniffing him, she's on him, she's already told Mark, listen, Mark, if I'm out the house, it will look at Eric. Look at Eric. I think now you can't banish her. You can't banish her.
Yeah. This is gonna hurt Natalie.
It's gonna hurt Natalie. I think Natalie pretty much had a pretty clear path, honestly, because there's only 2 more episodes left. I think,
and we've still got enough strong guys to where they can still bank money. Back on our season, poor CT had to deal with me, Phaedra, Sheree, MJ, Trishelle. Like, he had no support when it came to trying to put money in the bag. You know, like we didn't grow the prize pot.
He was breaking that back. Listen, he was working, and I think
we tried, but no.
It's a good strategy to keep the strong guys to try to win the money. Because hey, what does it mean to make it to the end? There's no money. If there's no money, but just saying, yeah, you're a traitor. There's no money in the pot, right? Like, but no. I think, unfortunately, I'm sorry, Natalie. I love you, girl. But if I was a traitor at this point, she is the 4 that they chose. That's the only one to me that would make it. So if
that makes sense.
Another week.
To me, I thought it would be between Tara and Natalie, but after hearing you talk about it like a lawyer, I think the best choice is Natalie.
Natalie, yeah. I'm like, oh, I hate this for Natalie. And you know what? Rob is smart. So I think he's gonna go between, I think his choices actually would be Natalie or Tara. But I think he's gonna think in the back of his head that emotional connection that they showed at that last roundtable. I think people could easily be like, well, did you see how they didn't even care if they were looked at suspicious? They were tag teaming together. And there's enough people in the house that think, oh, they're both traitors at this point. They're either both traitors or one.
So if we banish Johnny at the table and Tara doesn't get murdered, then we banish her next and figure out if one was the traitor angel of the other, which saves you guys 2 more rounds.
Exactly. So unfortunately,
we had to talk it out. I had to hear your thoughts in order to get to that conclusion. I knew it wasn't going to be Kristin, and I know it wasn't going to be Johnny. He already had enough heat that they banished him anyway.
Yep.
But to me, I was between Tara and Natalie, but after talking to you, Natalie's got to go.
And I hate that because she has been giving us what what little entertainment is left. Sorry, but I mean, it's dwindling down. We have the more passive personalities left, the sweet souls. There are really some really sweet souls that are left who, Mark, we actually haven't seen much of Mark, which I am very interested to see how this game plays out and if he ups his ammo. Because we haven't get to see much of him, but I love him on Dancing with the Stars. He has a rockin' personality, so I'd love to see more of that play out. And I've seen on Twitter the discourse, a lot of people talking about, guys, remember what Sandra said earlier. Okay, there are a bunch of people that start off in the beginning of the show. The show was only 1 hour, and the show is called The Traitors. So obviously, most of the show is gonna be about the traitors, right? So I think as the episodes dwindle down, we'll get to see more of these players' personalities, more of their strategy, more of their moves. So I'm curious to see what he will do, and I'm also curious to see what he's gonna think about that information about Eric, because Eric and him are pretty close. So I wonder if his nose is going to be kind of up, because what sucks about this game is that they kind of got to keep Kristin, because now if he says, if I'm banished, it's her, they're going to look at you if you banish her. Period. That's what happened with Lisa.
That happens anytime someone says, like when Ron walked in on Dorinda and Steven talking, and he says, any thoughts? And he's like, yeah, there's 2 traitors. He's like, are you sure? Yeah, there's 2, and you're talking to one. And how do you not, Steven looked at Dorinda, but how do you not say, oh my God, am I friends with a traitor? Have I been friends with a traitor this whole time? Like you always, let me close this thing. But yeah, anytime anyone says to you traitors, you're like, oh my God, what are they seeing that I'm not? And this traitor's been in my face the whole time, making me look dumb as hell.
Yes. And so I'm just like, oh man, I'm itching to see how this plays out for this group. What are your predictions on the next episode? Obviously now there's a lot of suspicion around Johnny and Tara. I mean, what did you think? Actually, let's go back really quickly. What did you think about that move at the Roundtable? How they tag team? They told everyone, listen, this is a long-standing friendship. This is my Bonnie and Clyde. We've been friends for 11 years. They emphasized that 11 years. They've gone through a lot together. But my thing is, they've been secretive about it the whole game. Why tell it now? Because now people are going to see you as a liar. You've been lying the whole game, and you're good at it. And everyone was kind of clocking before, oh, they're walking together. Oh, they're so close now. So that key to me, okay, as a viewer, that means they hadn't been showing that closeness. I think you don't know what gets edited out and what hasn't, but the fact that everyone was so shocked that they were even just simply walking together before the Roundtable and arm in arm after the competition shows me the whole game they, I guess, hadn't shown that they have this close relationship. So what did you
think? Yeah, they fooled everyone the whole time. But what they said at the Roundtable sort of solidified them as, maybe they are faithful, and maybe we're looking in the wrong direction. Maybe we need to look back at why Lisa gave Steven all his gold, why Candace was talking to Steven right before the Roundtable. So it all came back to Steven. Poor Steven ended up going home. Why he had like a fake response about Dorinda going home by Natalie. Natalie said, you came to breakfast. And just because he wasn't, just because in her eyes, he didn't give the kind of love he should have to Dorinda, he's a traitor, So that's why I say anything could just be blown out of proportion. But whatever they said at that Roundtable was enough for some people to say, okay, we're going to look at Steven now. Although we've been saying Johnny all damn day, we're going to change our minds again. But that only bought them a little bit of time, because now that Steven's gone and we know that he's a faithful, and Neil gets murdered, when Johnny and Tara show up again, they're going to be like, whoa, we're going after one of them, but which one? So I think the next episode is going to be back and forth with Tara, Johnny, Tara. Who do we take out? Which one do we think is the traitor? And if not, then the other one.
Yep. If you were Johnny and Tara, though, would you have revealed how close you guys were?
No, because now everyone's going to say, of course you can lie. Of course you can be up in that turret. You've been lying since the minute you got here. You had a whole relationship no one had no idea about. You were clever. We never saw it. And that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have the potential to lie.
Yep. I agree. But yeah, I agree. I don't think I would have said it. However, It bought them another week. So listen, who am I to judge? It worked out. I think they're
for them, even if it was for 1 week, because they were going to take out Johnny tonight, but because of that, they changed their mind. So I think it was great for them.
Yeah, I think it worked out. I don't know if I don't think I would have done it. Because in my back of my head, like you just said, I would have been like, okay, everyone's gonna be like, she's a liar, it's inconsistent. But it worked out for them. So I think it bought them another week. At the end of the day, you're fighting to just say one more week, one more week, one more week, and all of these competition shows. So I think it did. I think it, the moment highlights just how even perceived inconsistency, like, or gut instincts can change the weight of gameplay. I think Natalie saying, I'm going with my gut. She took a more emotional and gut stance in that sense, where she was like, I don't know, that was an emotional plea. Like, I felt that. I feel like they're being honest. I feel like they're being genuine. Steven!
And she went after Tara last week for no reason, simply because she found out Tara was the one that started saying Natalie's name, and Candace said it came from Tara. So, like, that was a wasted vote for Natalie. And as a gamer and as a Survivor winner, I didn't expect that, because it was just a throwaway vote. You know?
It was a throwaway vote. It was a throwaway vote. I think our girl Natalie, I think she's in trouble. I think she's gonna get banished. But if she doesn't, I think she could buy another week, though. I think they're gonna go for Johnny or Tara. But I also am curious, what do you think? Do you think Kristin has enough sway in the game? Do you think I can't tell what Kristin and Natalie's relationship is in the game. But if Natalie is still here, do you think Kristin will confide in Natalie? Because I think if Kristin does confide in Natalie about what her suspicions are about Eric, Natalie's a gamer. I think she will, at that point, I don't think she has any reason to not trust Kristin.
Well, but Kristin has to be careful, because we know that they're never going to just have one traitor in the game unless it's at the very end. So you have to remember, when you're playing this game, that up until the last round table, where you don't say whether you're a traitor or a faithful, the possibility that there's two traitors is pretty likely. So now you have to be careful about who you're saying certain things to, and what exactly are you saying, and who they're aligned with, because people talk. So you just can't freely just jump around the castle and say, I think it's Eric. I think it's Eric. I think it's going to get to Eric.
Yep, it's gonna get to Eric. I think. Oh, that was the.
And if Eric can't fix this situation, she must be murdered, because if she gets 2 people on board by the next day, she can get 4 people on board, and now you lost the upper hand. So I would give her a day, but if she don't change her tune, guess who's getting murdered if she survives?
I know. Oh, I also agree.
You could just simply say that I was set up by the traitors.
Yep. I agree, and I think we saw something similar happen with Yam Yam. The kiss of death. It was Lisa, and then everybody, jumped on board to banishing Lisa, and then also, though, Lisa's name was in everybody's mouth, and it's so quick. Like we said, it went from Dorinda saying that one little throwaway comment about how her personality is different, to now Colton is rallying the troops. So we've seen how fast one little thing can spread around the house and be the downfall and detriment of your game. So I agree with you 100%, Sandra. I think Kristin is going to be dangerous if they keep her too long. I think Rob, though, is going to understand that. I think Eric might be a little nervous pervous and be like, oh, is it going to, and overthink it a little bit because he's so sweet. But I think Rob is going to be like, we need to cut the cord eventually. I just think now isn't the right time. Okay, so final thoughts, final predictions.
Natalie's gonna go home.
Okay, Natalie's gonna go home.
And the traitors are gonna win together, Eric and Rob.
Yep. I think they're gonna win as well. I think they're gonna win as well.
And Eric and Rob is gonna have Maura right there by his side, who thinks he is a faithful above all else.
Oh, I know. I'm just like, dang, I'm just shocked nobody thought deeper. But again, we don't have live feeds about
even Mark. I would suspect Mark might be there with them in the final 4.
I think Mark is in final 4, guaranteed. Nobody's looking at Mark. Everybody thinks he's a faithful. Everybody confides in him too. Everybody's always talking to him about things. They don't necessarily show his thoughts necessarily, but he's in all these discussions. When you look at the different rooms, he's got his hand in all the pots. They talk to him. They trust him. They communicate with him. And he's close with now both the traitors. So I think if Eric doesn't go down as a traitor, and also remind me, what will happen if, say, somehow Eric, I don't think this will happen, but let's say Kristin rallies the troops, Eric gets banished. What happens then? Do they recruit? And like, how does that work this late in the game?
There comes a time, I think on episode 11, where now people don't say if they're traitors or faithfuls, and no more recruiting after that. If it ends up 4 faithfuls at the end and all the traitors are gone, then that's how it is. But it's up until the last episode.
Okay. Okay, got it. Okay, yeah. So guys, I agree with Sandra's predictions. I think Rob pretty much has this in the bag. I think he would have to completely fumble the ball and have a huge blunder in order for him at this point to not win. I think he's established himself in the house as someone who's trustworthy. I think he's aligned at this point. He's aligned with almost everyone in the house besides Tara and Johnny, and people are already coming for them. So it's going to work its way out for that. And so I think he's protected on all ends. And also, guys, he's got that dagger. He's got that dagger still.
For 2 votes.
And at this point, I think with 2 more people gone, he can almost control who stays and who goes with that vote.
And all the traitors have to do to make it out of all of this to the end is simply go in and out of rooms separate, so that when people feel the need to share something, they'll have a heads up. So all they got to do is just work that castle room by room, person by person, alone, and they'll always have all the information.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see traitors win, and after coming off of a season of faithfuls winning, I mean, that's pretty impressive. It's exciting stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah, 2 faithfuls in a row, because yeah, it was 2 faithful. Who won? Shit, I can't even remember. Yeah, it was Zac Efron won his. That was the 3rd. And the second, he had 2 faithfuls in a row. So we were a traitor that won, 2 faithfuls in a row, and now season 4. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Guys, give it up for Sandra the Queen. I am so happy that you jumped on here. We're definitely going to have you again eventually when the Survivor thing, kicks off, and talk about a Survivor episode from the Survivor Queen. But thank you so much for coming. Guys, where can they find you, Sandra?
Sassy SDT on Instagram.
Period. Give her a follow. You guys already know what to do, and hit the subscribe button if you like this video. Click the like button because there will be more of this to come. Thank you, Sandra. We love you. And guys, let's see what's going to happen in this next episode. Bye.